Welcome, everyone, to Warbound, episode 10. And I can't believe we got this far. We got to 10 episodes. I'm your host, Aleris, with my younger brother, Theo, with me, as he has been.
For the past 10 weeks, yes, it's pretty impressive. I don't know, there's not much that I've committed to for 10 weeks at a time as far as content creation or anything like this.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, so pretty, pretty
the
pretty cool stuff.
the most I've ever done is when my kid was really young. I was like streaming really late at night, Hawaii time. But I don't even think that was 10 weeks in terms of
Mhm.
content creation. So this is pretty cool milestone. So it's nice that it lines up the week after our 30th of the 30th anniversary Blizzard Direct, Warcraft Direct. Um, our last episode we gave predictions, and I don't think any of the hot takes came true. Theo, did we get a
Yeah.
Netflix show?
No, we did not get a Netflix show. That was kind of what I was hoping for.
Yeah. Did we get
It was
Warcraft
something.
4? No.
No Warcraft 4. I would say it's basically everything we expected, but nothing we didn't expect, with maybe a small thing that
Yeah.
I know we're talking about at the end.
Um, I'm gonna bring up like we'll talk about stuff. I think the most obvious stuff that had been data mined and leaked and was expected. Warcraft 3 got revamped.
Hmm.
I think there's some good improvements. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think it needs a little bit more, but overall, it's a good start. I think it feels more like
Hmm.
Warcraft 3 did back in the day. At least in terms of like the online interface, the game interface, stuff like that. I think it's cool that
Hmm.
there's different hero skins now that even in classic graphics you can select. So you can like always have Arthas as your Death Knight hero or your Paladin hero.
Yeah.
And even some cool stuff like Dalen Proudmoore and stuff like that can be your Paladin hero, even in classic, and they have the models and stuff, which is cool. Then they remastered Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2. I did run into a problem I had with Warcraft 2 Remastered. So I don't know if you remember, but I remember when we were young that Warcraft 2 had a bunch of really cool custom maps. That like there was like fortress defenses and fortress attacks and like a D-Day map and just a whole bunch of custom maps that were like you could tell were the playground that the developers had tested the game in. Stuff like a chessboard, right? Or
Oh
one
yeah,
worker
yeah.
and you're surrounded by critters. Crazy, interesting starts. That as a 4 or 5 year old were a lot of fun to play. Um, and I noticed those maps aren't in the game in the remaster. But I figured
Oh,
out
I
that
didn't.
if you install the older version, you can go into that folder on your computer and pull the maps into the new remastered game. So it's just a matter of copying some files over in the file explorer. But kind of disappointing when I first like opened it up and I was like, oh, it's only BattleNet competitive maps. Why?
Hmm.
That's weird.
I Yeah, I didn't even realize that, because
Yeah.
basically all I've been doing is going into the campaign. I started Warcraft 1 because at least I don't think we ever played Warcraft. I only played Warcraft
No,
2.
we never played Warcraft
Um,
1.
yeah. I did try starting with Warcraft 1, and oh my word, that has to be the hardest RTS game I've ever played, just because the AI is so bad. Like the fact that you can't attack move, you have to select, you have to attack and then select each unit and everything. Or
Yeah.
sorry, each enemy that you're attacking. I was like, oh my word, this is the hardest game I've ever played. So I did like 4 or 5 missions in the campaign, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just go play Warcraft 2, because that's what I actually wanted to get to. I was just messing
Yeah,
around with
Warcraft
Warcraft.
2, it still feels like a great game. I think they did make a couple of
Oh yeah.
improvements. I think you can actually
Hmm.
select more units than you could in the past and stuff.
Mm.
I've played a couple of custom matches since it came out, and it looks good. It feels good. I will say, like, music and sound
Oh.
design for Warcraft 2 is so good. Like, every time you're battling, it feels like a battle. Like the sounds of the swords and the attacks just sound so good.
Mm-hmm.
I had a game. You learn little quirks as you're older with it. I've been watching some people who can speed run the campaign, which is absolutely like that's where you learn about the game is when you watch a speed runner play it. Some things I've learned: you can dodge cannonballs with ships. You can literally micro your way and never get hit by a cannonball. A funny thing about that. So I was playing like a fortress custom scenario from the older game, and my cannon tower was shooting at a peasant that was walking by, an enemy peasant, and I had made it's like a scenario where you're in this fortress and they attack you from all sides and you got to defend it. I had spent my last 400 gold on a peasant to then long distance mine to get my economy back going. And the cannon tower shot at the enemy peasant. My peasant was right behind it, and it missed the enemy peasant and killed mine. And I was like, I had no idea that could even happen. Like I know, like if you're with the griffins and dragons, if you don't micro them, they will kill each other because they do the like bounce attack. It'll friendly fire your units if you don't micro stuff. So yeah, that's the Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2 stuff. Those were expected. Warcraft 3 too. And then they came to World of Warcraft. I guess we'll get some of the lesser stuff that we don't really play anymore out of the way. MoP Classic is coming.
Yeah, which I mean, it's not. I guess I don't know if surprised is the right word, but I kind of thought they would stop it, especially because we just had remake. But I think it's cool that they're bringing them back, and I think that I mean, I've got, a level 80, right? 80, yeah. Druid. And so I might bring that into MoP Classic. I'm actually trying to consider, I think, MoP Classic's going to be the perfect expansion to potentially get my girlfriend into WoW. So, because I think that might be the one that Classic, I think, is easier to approach. She did not like the retail.
I guess I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Like for my wife, having the half-hill stuff be relevant and content. You're right, really but she's already done it, like on another character, so I don't know if she'll want to just do it again. But I would do, and I was disappointed that Pandaria Remix didn't have that, didn't have half-hill at all. It was all the bronze, whatever. So, which was the whole thing I wanted to do in Remix, was just like grind half-hill stuff. So I guess I would play Classic MoP just for that. Just to do the farming every day with my wife and those dailies. I haven't played I think I played Classic Kata when the pre-patch dropped and I made a goblin for a second, but Classic just takes forever and I don't have that time. I have to cut something. I have too much time in retail, too much time in what's going to be fresh Classic now, I can't justify dedicating time to MoP Classic. Which is unfortunate because now Blizzard's going to get my household with 2 freaking accounts boosting so that we can play half-hill. And it's like, that kind of sucks. That kind of feels bad. I guess I could try to power level the Death Knight I have, but I don't know. It was. I think it was expected. I think they're just gonna keep going. I think maybe stop at MoP. I don't know. I don't know where the line is between like what is actually like classic and what's not. Because Warlords is definitely more of a modern seasonal model, I feel, than Mists of Pandaria was.
Yeah.
But your thoughts?
Yeah, but I mean, no, I honestly thought why I was surprised is like I honestly thought like Wrather maybe Kata was that. Kata's kind of that transition, I feel like, from classic into.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing is the talent change. The talent
Yeah.
when the talents got changed to like just picking one of 3, you're definitely modernizing the game at that point and going away from the trees. What the talent system they have now is perfect. I think it's absolutely wonderful, and I think the hero talents actually add a lot of like Legion artifact depth to each class, where you can kind of choose between stuff, and a lot of the classes are slowly getting better abilities and stuff. Like I've just now noticed that some hunters have like an owl that comes in and swoops around and stuff in dungeons, which is really cool. That said, that's mop. Was expected. I think there was a lot of people expecting some sort of Classic Plus. It sounds like SOD is going to keep going, that they have like post-Nax content planned. But again, I've had to cut. I can't play all the versions of WoW, so I gotta cut back. And SOD has been one of those unfortunate things. That said, Fresh Classic is going to kill WoW anyway, kill SOD anyway. So, Fresh Classic, pretty cool. I think Blizzard can milk this for the rest of their existence, and people will come back and start fresh servers and enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
we are.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, I think I guess I was a little surprised that it seems like they're basically just doing fresh server. That they're, I mean,
with
I know
hardcore.
They're doing like server. Yeah, they are cooking a little bit with that, but like, I don't know. I wasn't necessarily expecting them to just completely run it back. You know, I was thinking maybe, you know, doing another like Season of not as much as Season of Discovery, but something kind of like Season of Mastery that was like a little different.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first Fresh experience was a huge success and a huge like experiment in that like all of a sudden all of the, you know, neckbeards that came over from the private servers with all their strategies, then everybody started copying them, and now, you know, Classic is this. I don't think it's as neckbeardy and no lifey as people make it out to seem. I know there's like, I think once you get to Nax, it is once a guild is running a 40-man Nax, you have to be on top of your class and your stuff. But I absolutely think that I know for a fact that there's still guilds on Classic servers right now that are running MC and AQ20 and AQ and ZG and just bringing whoever they want in and just passing loot out and not caring about logs or anything like that. And just having fun with the game, right? Getting mats, whatever, getting gold. So I don't think the community is as bad as like some people think it is, or it seems to be sometimes. But I think they have made changes, like the world buffs, right? Obviously, there was a ton of conflict with servers and people dropping world buffs randomly and all this other stuff. So the fact that you can just save them now, that it's easy to save and get that item, it's not a big deal, I think is good. I do kind of hope. I wish that. I know that they're not releasing MC until like December to just let people have time to catch up and collect pre-BIS, which is cool. I kind of wish they had done the Season of Discovery thing where they cap it at 25 for a week and then cap it at 40 for a week and stuff. I think that's cool, but
yeah.
I think the point I was trying to get to was I kind of hope they do the SOD and other game mode dungeon changes where they cap how many dungeon until MC comes out, they cap how many like non-60 dungeons you can do a day, because you know that everyone is going to be in SM with a mage boosting tombs if they don't do that.
Yeah.
So hopefully those dungeon XP changes and stuff are in the game.
Yeah. And that does kind of feed into. I guess not surprised, but I was hoping, especially because, correct me if I'm wrong, but this whole experience for Classic is going to be a month long. Not a month, sorry, a year long. Like they've already announced it's going into TBC, and they said it's going to be in like next year that it's going into TBC.
That surprised me, is that
And,
it's
like,
going into TBC.
Yeah, I guess I'm not surprised that it's going into TBC. I guess I was surprised that it's going to take it. They're going to do it all in a year, unless Classic is your main game that you play all the time, which, some people, yeah, that's going to be them. But I think a lot of people are just like kind of the tourists that are coming in from retail, or that are resubbing just to try it out. Those people are never going to hit 60. They're never, and you say, yeah, it's the journey is the game, yada yada yada. But come on, it's a seasonal format. Like you're doing that to get. The only reason they're making fresh servers is so you can get to 60, do MC, and do all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
there's obviously
And
a handful of people, I think, that it's their main
Yeah.
game, and they will make a fresh character and start over. But I wonder how it'll roll into the existing Classic servers, because there's a lot of people that are just super established on those servers.
Yeah, whether they're going to stay there or also, I just think I was surprised that they didn't announce that there's going to be an XP boost. Not like a boost. Boost is the wrong word. You know what I mean? An XP gain, an experience buff.
Yeah.
I would imagine they do add one. Maybe after MC's been out for a couple of months, just so people can get, because they even kind of mentioned that in like one of the blue posts where they're like, when they announced that there's going to be a delay for MC, they're like, we noticed that whenever people are talking about on the forums, there's always like a post on the forums or Reddit that's like, is it too late to get into Classic? I'm 3 months late. The only way to fix that without, people just paying gold to have a mage boost them is to do an experience buffing. Going back to Season of Discovery, that is one of the things that I thought was
and I feel
done
like
well with once the patch is established, they make it easy. They're like, yes, it doesn't matter. Here's a little XP boost. You can still play the game. You're not getting the 60 instantly, but I would imagine they're going to do something like that.
I know where they're going to make their money is that they're going to then go, okay, now all of this stuff can be moved to the Eternal Classic servers. You can pay us $15, move your character over there, and then continue the same character on the TBC. And then we're going to be selling a boost for TBC, or whatever. I actually think MOP might be the end of the Classic rotation, and we're seeing the restart of that whole. Then it's going to be Wrath, then it's going to be Kata again, and we're just going to get this like 5-year cycle of Classic, TBC, Wrath, Kata, MOP, which is fine, I think. They certainly give you points if you have the money. They give you an opportunity to jump in whenever you want, and have a boosted character. So that said, I'm excited for Fresh Classic. I love the hype that builds around it, and making a new character and seeing everybody. I've loved doing like the TBC Dark Portal stuff with you. I know I was able to log on for Wrath when Wrath went live and hop on the Zeppelin and get disconnected and all that stuff. It's just a lot of fun being around that much people in game and starting fresh. I know me and you are going to go Alliance, because I do have an Alliance character at 40, but that's the furthest I've ever gotten. So
wait. Before, I know we're about to switch off. Did you hear this? The only reason I happened to just have the WoW Hardcore Reddit pulled up. Did you hear what's new for the Anniversary Realms?
I haven't.
They just announced in a blue post. There's gonna be three new changes for the Anniversary Realms.
We have breaking news, everybody! Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. Instant mail between characters on the same account. That's kind of whatever. The removal of buff and debuff limit, which might just lead to us.
No, that was expected, though. That was expected, because that was like a season of... Anything that happened in Season of Mastery, I expect to happen in these fresh servers.
Here's the real cook, and I can already hear the Classic community in an uproar, is they're going to be adding, not at the beginning, but at a later date, duels. So we're going to have dual spec in Classic. Which
Um,
Interesting.
I guess it depends on how expensive they make it. The thing with like classic, right, is like your end amount is 1,000 gold.
Exactly that. So is it going to be
Like,
1,000
who's
gold?
gonna have the gold to then buy, 500 gold
But
dual spec ability or something?
yeah,
Like, it's not. I think the XP dungeon changes are more important than
than
dual
that.
spec. Most people pick a class to play something at 60 and lock themselves in and don't care to switch, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, and I imagine it wouldn't even because it becomes so much different with gear. Like for instance, the difference between a tank warrior and a DPS warrior, where DPS warriors using like half their gear is leather. They're using like the Devil Sword, crafted as a pre-raid BIS, which you wouldn't be using as a tank. But so I don't think it would even necessarily be like that. But I imagine it might be like I'm worried that might make it more min-maxy, where there'll be like, okay, there's two different warrior DPS builds, one for AoE, one for non-AoE, where before you would have
Yeah.
that one build that you were doing.
Well,
It
there was
might make,
basically like every warrior, once you were geared, just became a fury tank anyway or whatever, and
yeah,
you just had the one
yeah.
build. I know for like warlocks, because that's the only class I got to 60, there was basically like there's always a couple different variations of builds, but there's basically like it was demonic sacrifice. Um, oh, I can't remember the Destro talent name. I can't remember it. But yeah, it was basically like a hybrid build between Demonic Sacrifice, and you basically killed your demon so that your Shadow Bolt did more damage.
Yeah.
Like, that was like the only reason. Like, it's it's interesting. Maybe it makes more classes more viable, but like a lot of guilds are going to get as close to like quote unquote meta comps as they possibly can in like Nax, right? Where they're going to bring like
Well, that's why, yeah, with
28
the debuff,
mages and then like two
with no
hunters
debuff,
and healers and
yeah,
tank.
with no buff or debuff limit, it's gonna be like, you're just having like a million warlocks or something because there's no reason not to. Um,
Well, now,
but
but in the past you couldn't, with the debuff limit, you couldn't bring warlocks because of the debuff limit, because you
exactly.
needed the tanks to have debuffs on the boss, so you could only
Or they,
bring like
yeah,
one
you would
or
tell
two
them not to bring
warlocks.
abilities. Or like,
Yeah,
I mean, I played the Resto Druid, and I love Resto Druid healing, but it was kind of funny that like basically, and I don't know if this is going to change it, but basically as a Resto Druid, you're just sitting there casting healing touch over and over again because you didn't want to put like your hearts would get overwritten by another Druid's hearts and things like that.
yeah, yeah. So I imagine I'm fine with it. I'm fine with them removing the debuff limit. I think it needs to happen.
Yeah.
I think it makes the game just more convenient in the way that World Buff capturing. Um, uh, Honestly, they could have just nerfed World Buffs. Like
Yeah.
they honestly, in most game companies, probably would have just been like, all right, we're nerfing World Buffs since you guys are abusing each other over them, and that would have been worse. I think the way they came up with the world buff capture system is better because it's fun when you're just like accidentally in Orgrimmar and you get a world buff while you're leveling and all of a sudden you're like crushing enemies for 2 hours. Like I feel like there is a reason to have the ability to capture them, and most players are not going to be logging their classic raids and stuff like that. We obviously see that because it's on the internet and like if you're into the game a lot, you see those circles, but um, for the most part, like I think I'm actually just gonna go hunter because
Mhm.
hunters are just fun. They have to carry ammo. Your pet is a mini game in and of itself of management and stuff like that. Um, so I think I'm actually going hunter because while you're not the top DPS, most of the time I'm going to be playing solo anyway. So um, that's classic fresh. That's cool though. I think
Sure.
I think it'll be a blast. I think it'll basically be Season of Mastery. I think it's cool that the hardcore realms are in tandem. I guess hardcore will be going to. I guess hardcore. Can you play hardcore kata? I guess hardcore is going into TBC, which is cool. to see someone live all the way to 70, and I know TBC's raids kind of up the lethality of what they can do. But I might hit 60. It took me a long time to hit 60 last time. I have a Season of Mastery character that I eventually broke off of you and got to 40, but I haven't touched him since then. So, that brings us to retail, or modern, which is the majority of what we talk about here. And we're getting undermined in 11.1. We're going to the Goblin homeworld. What do you think, Theo?
I mean, I guess I have to bring my priest back because I guess having them be a priest, which is actually really funny. I mean, we kind of knew that this was coming if you had been paying attention to the data mining, and some people made videos. We kind of knew that it was going to be something goblin related. But I was actually very, very close to switching my priest off of once it became available to be evoker. I almost bought a race change. I didn't end up doing that, so maybe I end up playing my priest. But no, I'm excited. I mean, it looks incredible as far like everything we've seen so far. I mean, like the whole bike thing that we're gonna get to customize looks like it's gonna be super fun. I think it's almost gonna be like a dragon riding type of situation though, because my understanding is like that's gonna be a lot faster than any ground mount. I don't know if it's gonna be quite as fast as dragon flying, but it's kind of the same, or dragon riding, but it's gonna be the same kind of idea. And it's like, are they going to have to do the same thing where they're like, oh, everyone likes these bikes so much, we need to revamp all the ground mounts so that they're like this? Like,
They're cars. They're not bikes, they're cars.
Oh, cars, bikes, cars.
No, but it's cool. I think it's a good homage back to like the Goblin starting area, obviously, where you got the car and you get to drive around. I think it'll be memey at first for the cars, just kind of in the way that dragon riding was, but I think you're right. I think somewhere in Legion, BFA, they realized these customizable mounts are what people want. With the cat that you could color in Mechagon, I think. And I was wondering why, like, we got a new, the Delver's dirigible or whatever, and there really wasn't a lot of customization options at the start of the expansion, I felt, compared to what was data mined and stuff. And so I wonder if that's because this drive system is coming out. And you're right, I think they might then have to put it onto every ground mount and let you toggle between it at some point, which will be hilarious for mounts with like 4 legs and stuff when they go running off.
Exactly.
I think they'd obviously have to apply it to ground-only mounts, the way that obviously Dragon Flying applies to bigger mounts, but looks incredible. I just like when they went into like the Gallywix, the Galagio, right, or whatever they called it. I think it looks incredible. I love the like. I feel like they're making like a goblin area that's way more vibrant than the other goblin areas we've seen.
Oh, for sure.
With lights and stuff like that, just like there's so much blue or not blue, green, pink, and like orange and stuff, and color, like just the color palette just pops off of everything. I have to imagine the rewards are going to look absolutely incredible for like the, Mythic Plus seasonal reward and possible raid mounts and stuff like that and other mounts. I kind of love that we're doing this 4-faction goblin fight or whatever for the kind of world content, right? It sounds like we're going to be able to pick one of 4 goblin factions. I don't know if that'll have lore implications later, if they're going to track who picks who and keep track of like. That would be kind of cool if they kept track of it, and then eventually, like, potentially the venture company controls all of goblindom or whatever. It does make me want to just like level up a goblin and play a goblin next expansion, which would be just like have a raid full of goblins. I know in our guild we have someone who's mained a goblin their whole existence,
Yep,
basically, and
exactly.
loves them to death and is so excited for this patch. And I'm excited for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited, though. I think it'll be great. I think after kind of the semi-seriousness of the start of War Within, I think a Goblin transition is a good like middle patch where there can be some memes, there can be some explosions. The Goblins are certainly one of the most unknown races in WoW. Um, like going back into Warcraft 2, you kind of I don't even know how they're introduced in the campaign, but it seems like they're just like, yeah, we got some goblin guys here, and they're mini orcs, and it's funny. And they explode.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure. Like, they're one of the few playable races that the origin of the race, right, is not like canonized in the chronicle volume and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they have there. I think we're going to get more Titan stuff. I think we're going to get more stuff like that. And I guess Xalatath will be involved, right? I mean, of course,
Somehow.
the cute elf chick just dealing with Gallywix. Gallywix is just a sucker. First Sylvanas, and now Xalatath. He's just gonna. It's those elf girls, man. They'll get you. But I'm excited. I think the raid looks incredible. I think it's going to be one of the best raids ever. Star, depending on
Depending on tuning.
tuning,
Depending on the
but
last boss. Yeah, but and I don't know about you. What do you think about? Because they did say it's going to be another eight raid. Sorry, 8 boss raid, which is the same with nearby. Um, I mean, I guess I always kind of thought 9 was kind of like that perfect number for a raid length. But what do you think about like them sticking with the 8 number? Like, you think it's a good number?
yeah,
You think
eight's like the
it's too
minimum,
short?
right? Like it's like the minimum
Yeah,
requirement for
for a raid.
what isn't a like short raid. Like I know we've had some short raids that are like 2, 3
Yeah,
bosses that are filler, like not filler, but like just mini raids or whatever. I think 8 is the minimum you need for like the big patch raid. I don't know if we've ever had a raid that's like 7 or 6, to be honest, in the modern era. I think
yeah.
Kata had short
Violence was
raids
something.
the
Yeah.
beginning, but they were like you did all of them together. You could swap between them and stuff like that. So
Yeah, well, even then, yeah, Firelands was the quote unquote, the longest, and that was only 7. Oh,
oh,
no,
it's,
no, 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 no. Dragon Soul was 8. Dragon Soul was 8. Never mind.
okay.
Uh,
I think the final raid being like that 12 boss raid is better.
yeah,
But
that
if
makes sense.
they're gonna do 8, 8 is, yeah, 9 is good. 10 is decent. I think. Anywhere between there. I think once you get to 12, 13, it's getting too long at points. But if it's like the Sanctum of Dominate, or not Sanctum of Domination, what the heck was it called? The Sepulchre of the First Ones, or
Yeah,
the Ice Crown Citadel, Hellfire Citadel. These
the last raid. Yeah,
the Antorus, right, for the Burning Legion. Like those got to be those big, massive raids that are um, just huge. So I think eight's fine. I think they're adding a new dungeon too, which is fun. So we'll be up to 5 dungeons or whatever that are in War Within in terms of just Mythic Plus content. I don't really care for the dungeons they're doing. Theater of Pain is fine. What was it? Theater of Pain, the Goblin BFA dungeon,
yeah. Motherload and then
Motherload. What was the other one?
Workshop. Mechagon.
Is Workshop the beginning or the end?
The end.
Ugh.
You don't see. I
The
think that's one of the
last,
best.
the last, was that the one with the stealth point?
Yeah, stealth points are. I get that that's kind of annoying. Maybe
No,
I always like that.
what was annoying was the lead up to the final boss. The ads leading up to the final boss were a pain
What?
in the
Yeah, I remember
butt,
that.
from what
And
I
maybe
remember.
I remember that fondly, but also I think part of it is I remember a lot of BFA dungeons fondly because that's when I really got into Mythic Plus, like doing it pretty. I mean, very relatively seriously. But then also the Nyalotha patch. I know it's not everyone's favorite seasonal affix, and I know we're not going to probably have a new seasonal affix or anything like that. But I love the Nyalotha affix for that because it made it so that was the one where you like would go under, get to the portals, go under, and then kill a boss, and then have it spawn the portal, so you could like skip trash with that, and that was cool because it made it so you could skip a lot of the annoying things, whether it was skip the stealth part or skip that trash that you're talking about at the end. Like that, I thought that was just interesting. So,
Yeah.
I know I always liked Mechagon. Um, you know, I guess it obviously comes step back to tuning. I mean, and similarly with Motherload, I remember Motherload having a lot of really annoying skips that you kind of couldn't do without a rogue. And so it'll be interesting to see like what they do with the trash. Hopefully they just make changes that aren't obnoxious. I know, like for instance, they changed Doom Patrol a lot. That's because it was a flat at a dungeon. I don't know if they'll change Motherload or Workshop or even Theater of Pain with that much, since all of those are only a couple of expansions old.
Yeah. So real quick, I got the 2025 roadmap pulled up. I just want to go over it with you. So we have Undermined coming up because they did release this at the 30th anniversary event.
Mm-hmm.
I like Warband UI updates. That looks cool. Warband camp collections. So that's the loading screens or the intro screens. I imagine that's cool. It is mentioned that
Mm-hmm.
it's cartel renown. So I imagine that everybody will get one renown track, and you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
picking between the four cartels, and there might be different rewards based on that. But I love that. Like it's the two goblin cartels, Steamweedle and Bilgewater, and then it's like the Blackwater Raiders and the Venture Company, which I find interesting. Um, and then your thoughts on this, because you brought it up slightly, the Nyalotha patch 11.1.5, Horrific Visions Revisited. And that's coming with a Children's Week update, so that will be April.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they do that. Like, I guess what do they mean by it being like? I hope that means does that mean it's gonna be like current content type of a thing?
I
Um,
think,
that's-
yeah, I mean, it's got this new content, Nightfall, so I don't know what that means. But then Horrific Visions Revisited, I imagine instead of a Nazoth themed vision, it's going to be Xalatath whispering at you, and maybe they'll add more of the affixes from Mythic Plus into the visions instead of kind of some
yeah.
of the. I felt like Horrific Visions was super gimmicky. I absolutely hated it because of I was a monk and I didn't have enough DPS as a brewmaster to get through it all, so I had to go windwalking, and every time I hit Rising Dragon Kick or whatever it was, my character jumps and moves slightly, therefore putting a puddle underneath me that would just kill me. And so it was very frustrating to do visions as a melee. So by 11.1.5, I might be just playing a ranged DPS so I can do these visions.
Well,
Because
it'll
Blizzard makes everything
I-
easy for ranged. That's why I'm going Hunter in
it'll be
11.1.
it'll be yeah it'll be interesting. I mean, and I think the thing is with Horrific Visions, I loved Horrific Visions. I thought like I mean it was
I
basically
thought they were great.
it
I
was
thought
basically
it was
yeah
fun to do with
it
you.
was basically yeah it was basically Diablo 3 riffs in WoW, which I think Diablo 3 riffs is the
Yeah.
pinnacle of that genre, and the fact that they haven't I know they've kind of made similar things, but they haven't just made Diablo 3 riffs in Diablo 4 is the main reason. Like
So
I
what
want
do
to
you
play
think
Diablo
of
3, I never want to play Diablo 4,
we're
but
getting we're
uh,
getting turbulent time ways like in December, and then we're getting it again before summer starts. That's pretty funny to me.
oh yeah.
Yeah, but keep going about your
Yeah.
visions.
Oh no! I just think that they learned a lot how the visions, like the issues with the visions, and if they do it through the right way, where like they make they give you a vendor that you can get the resources from and buy the.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I assume there'll be corruptions again, and depending on how they do it, I mean, I thought I was playing a tank a little bit with the horrific visions, and that was just so fun because you got what was it, like the Twilight Devastation or whatever that one was, where that did damage based on the amount of health you had.
Yeah, I got that.
That shock in the middle of a dungeon and just fucking destroy
I got that
everything.
immediately on like a best in slot staff for my brewmaster back in BFA, and just absolutely crushed everything for the rest of the expansion. It was absolutely wild.
And if that's going to be what they add, like in the 0.5 patch or the 0.7 patch, where I think that's a lot more interesting. Something like the affixes or the buffs that you got from the visions that are like, something really cool that you see happen is a lot cooler than what they're doing in 11.0.7, which I know we kind of already talked about last week, but with the ring that they're bringing back, which is just kind of like passive.
I'm just upset that it's a ring now because I have the poison ring from Queen,
from that, and
we're using the binding of binding for our because we like each other and we play with each other, so we're just using that because it's flavorful. And season 3 looks to be pretty typical.
Except the one thing that we didn't bring up was the lack of a mega dungeon. They are just bringing back one dungeon.
It is just one. Operation Floodgate. Yep.
Yeah.
However, there is a new dungeon coming in summer on 11.2 compared on their thing.
Yeah, and so do you think 11.2? Do you think 11.2 is that's when we get the mega dungeon, or do you think?
No, I think it'll be another
adding a mega dungeon.
I think it'll be one dungeon. Yeah, I think it'll just be one. I think they're splitting up instead of a mega dungeon, like what was it, Tavesh or the Time Ways. I think they're just going to do two separate dungeons. But I think overall we'll get, because that usually leaves the expansion with 10 total dungeons.
Yeah. So we're getting the same amount of dungeons. It seems like they're just splitting it up into two.
It looks like 11.2 will be, because 11.2 is right next to the expansion reveal for Midnight, so it looks like it will be more leaning into Midnight in terms of the expansion.
Of course, yeah.
I do like that 11.2.5 and 11.2.7 are new content and system updates basically twice.
Yes.
So they reveal the expansion, and then they're obviously like, we're going to be updating stuff for the pre-Midnight expansion, and you're not allowed to know what it is.
Yeah.
And it's player housing, one of those, which I am finally. I just want a corner that's carved out that has all the stuff that I have achieved in one spot. My favorite raid boss on a pike, my character's professions as tables. Like, not even I don't even care if they're work tables that I have to work at.
I hope they're
literally just showing that I'm a leather worker when I walk in. You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
A banner on the wall of a faction I've hit Exalted with. Just little things that make it feel like this is who my character is, and this is where they want to call home.
Yeah. No, I hope it's completely cosmetic, and it's not like.
Well, I hope it's a flex cosmetic. I hope it's like if I'm getting AOTC every patch, I get to pick.
It can't be anything.
Like that,
it can't be anything relatively close to garrisons where you needed to do it for professions, to do stuff, to make gold.
No. It should be a place where you are able to just go to and hang out, have RP events.
Exactly.
I think a little bit of a cute Skyrim farming system where you can set up a small little garden that allows you to put herbs in there that then become pickable after a day or so. So it's not like the Pandaria, seeds into things. It's like if you have this herb in your bag or off the auction house, you can go then put it in this plot of soil, and tomorrow it'll grow. So that way I can grow a garden of sungrass or a garden of whatever, and make this mosaic of different herbs and those models that are in game already. A garden of peace bloom, right, or a silver leaf.
Mhm.
Like, think of how people could like have this fenced area that's relatively small, and you like line it with silver leaf, and then in the middle you have like some like red herbs or colorful herbs or whatever. I just think that would be cool. In terms of just a system that you could do just to customize. And it's not big enough that it's a farm like the Garrisons or the farm in Pandaria. It's 6 to 10 plots, and it's a 1-for-1 trade that you're putting Silverleaf in and getting Silverleaf out.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. But a place to put my mount, a place to put battle pets, would be cool. I love it, but I'm into player housing. I was in Skyrim. I was in ESO for a little bit when I played ESO for a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, no, and it'll be good. It'll be a good way to kind of potentially get old content more relevant.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, to be able to get like the head of a certain raid boss on a spike that you can then hang up. Like things like that will make it more fun to not only just have it to go make things more relevant, but then also when you get AOCC, when you get Keystone Master in this patch, then you get something in addition to what you already get. You get something cool that you get to put into your house.
Yeah, I think that'll come also with like the UI, the Warband UI improvements. Sound like it's going to be different splash screens that you'll earn in game doing something. So overall, I'm very excited for where WoW's going. I'm excited I have different versions to play, and I think it feels like they're able to operate with a little bit more freedom under Microsoft for the moment, where they're able to do what they want, have the capital to kind of do what they want. I mean, like I keep bringing up Skyrim, right, for a housing system. There were quirks with the Skyrim housing system, and it was obviously out in like 2012 or whatever, but one of the best base building games I've played, because I played it a little bit when the show came out, was Fallout 76. I got into Fallout 76 for a little while when the show was out on Amazon, and their base building is incredible. I don't want it to be monetized in the way Fallout 76 is, because that's like the whole point of the game is Fallout 76 is to like build your base and then just play Fallout, and so they just monetize the crap out of it. But if they, have, I think the monetization will come after the systems are set up. But I think they can pull on Microsoft teams that exist already and pull on ideas from Bethesda and ESO and stuff like that, games that already have player housing in them, right? And I think that's a really valuable asset. So we'll have to see. We're like way over time. I just let us go.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap it up here. But overall, like, great WoW 30th Direct, 30th anniversary. I will let you give any of your closing thoughts.
I'm just hyped. I mean, just some other things we didn't mention though. I mean, obviously, Plunderstorm confirmed coming back. We kind of already knew that.
I love that. Love Plunderstorm. It's a blast.
I've got the itch. I'd be playing Plunderstorm right now if it wasn't. I'm glad that they're waiting a little bit, so I'll get a chance to play Classic and then Plunderstorm. But
yeah,
I was definitely getting back to the point that it was, back when I was in high school, where it was like, it could be the only game that you played, And now, I mean, obviously it's not now. It's
quite literally WoW, like one of the only games I play now. I'm literally on it every night. There's so much to do.
Either that or,
with the anniversary event now, like, my wife and I are actually trying to get every single achievement from the anniversary event.
Yeah.
And it's a lot.
Nice.
So, So yeah, no, I'm very excited for Plunderstorm. I just thought it was a blast to play, and I think they can make it better. I do wish it was a new map, but maybe next Blunderstorm can be a new map. But yeah. I was totally addicted the first time it came out, and
It'll be
I
right
won
before
once.
midnight
I only
and-
won once because of my raiding skills. I just tilted my camera face down and just dodged the lightning. Just dodged. And eventually the other guy died. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of fun. All right. Thank you, Theo, for
Yeah.
coming by. This one's going to be a little bit longer, but I'm going to put some time walking dungeons to it, I think, and we'll be good.
Yeah.
So next week
Thanks
we'll
for
probably
listening.
talk more about Classic and maybe about retail. Maybe we'll finally do a plus 10. Doubt it. But
Hey, we know we did a plus 10. We just didn't time it. That's okay.
yeah, because it's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm Aleris.
That's another topic. I'm Theo.
We'll see you next week.